Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about what a torsion pendulum is and how you derive its period for AP Physics C Mechanics students and classes. First of all, let's talk about what torsion is. So torsion is a type of torque caused by twisting an object along an axis while one end is fixed. So a torsion pendulum is a special case of simple harmonic motion where the restoring torque is created by torsion and is directly proportional to angular displacement. So you can see the object here, and that is something of a torsion pendulum right here. It's going to be able to go back and forth, and it's resisting the twisting. The stiffness of the material is going to be resisting the twisting, causing it to twist back to the position it used to be at. So we're going to talk about some of these ideas and how you would approach a problem dealing with the torsion pendulum. There was an example problem, and I'll put a link to that at the end of this video here for a recent FRQ that dealt with torsion. So we are expected to be able to handle problems dealing with torsion. Alright, so let's go ahead and get to it. Okay, and here I just wanted to start with, first of all, there's an image of a torsion pendulum up above on the upper left, and you can see that this is something that's like suspended from the ceiling, and if you rotate it in one direction, the stiffness of the connecting piece between the ceiling and the disc itself will resist that twisting and will come back in the other direction. So that's effectively what we're going to be having with this torsion pendulum here. And I was thinking I wanted to go over the equations that we've had lately for this unit and for this section and just remind you of what all of this means, and then we're going to develop a new equation that's not shown here and use a new equation that's not shown here as well. So let me talk you through some of these things. First of all, what do you think this first equation is showing you? Alright, well that's just a general equation. And so that's just a general equation for simple harmonic motion, looking at period, frequency, and angular frequency. And so what do you think that second equation is going to be? Okay, well that's the period of a mass spring system. And here its relationship is with M and K. This is called a spring constant here. And the thing with the spring constant is it is how springy the spring is, so to speak, like how many newtons per meters it takes to compress or to stretch a spring. So like car shocks would have a very high K value and a child's toy would have a very low K value. Okay, what do you think that third equation is? What would you call that? Alright, well that's a period of a simple pendulum. And when we talk about the period of a simple pendulum, we're talking about something with its end, its bob, can be treated as a point mass, where all the mass is basically centered on that one point. And so that's a little more specialized case. The next equation is a little more general case. What do you think the next equation represents? Well, this is the period of a physical pendulum. And what this is instead of having something that can be reduced to just a dot, you're going to have something that's a little more complex. Maybe it's not a uniform object, maybe it has an odd shape to it, something along those lines, but it's not a simple pendulum in the sense that it doesn't reduce to just a point mass, so to speak. How about this last equation? What does this last equation do for us? This last equation is actually really important. So this is position using simple harmonic motion. Okay, and from that, if you take the derivative, you can get velocity, and if you take the derivative of that, you can get acceleration. And over here, we've got our rotational equivalents for these equations. Just something to be aware of. So that's what you have available to you. Okay, now that we've reviewed a little bit, let's take a look back at the period of a torsion pendulum. We know that there must have been an initial torque in this system. So we can say the sum of the torques is like we have our torque initial. And after the initial torque, you've got this responding torque. And that's really what we're interested in, because after the system is disturbed from equilibrium, there's going to be this restoring torque, so to speak. And then the sum of the torques is equal to I times alpha. That's the rotational version of Newton's second law. Then we say torque is equal to I times alpha. Now, this torque is going to be negative. We're going to treat it as negative because the torque is in the opposite direction of the angular acceleration. That may sound odd, but think of it as kind of like the rotational version of restoring force. Like when we have a mass on a spring, the restoring force, if the spring is compressed, say, to the right, then it's going to be pushing back to the left, so to speak. The restoring force is always in the direction opposite that of the initial displacement, right? So this is very, very similar. It's just in a rotational sense. So that's why you're expected to understand something about this. This is like the rotational version of a pendulum. Okay, and now we're going to do something else with this that you probably have not seen before. We're going to sub in this. Okay, this is different, right? And so what I do want to say is that this is a torsional constant. And it is effectively the rotational version of a spring constant. It's just the resistance of the material in that wire that is suspending this disc in this case. So let's say the stiff wire has a certain amount of resistance to twisting, and that is measured with this torsional constant right here. And the more it twists, the more you have a theta from its equilibrium position, the greater the torque that's going to be applied, right? This restoring force, but in a rotational sense, so it's like a restoring torque, so to speak. So that's what we mean by our torsional constant. Now, this is not on your equation sheet, so just be careful with this. This is something that you're going to need to memorize. Okay, and what we can say next is we can say, instead of saying alpha, we're going to make this into a differential equation here, because if we do, we can do interesting things. We've been talking about that lately. This is what alpha turns out to be, so to speak, in a differential sense here. So it's a second order differential equation because you have a concept, you have a variable, and its derivative in the same equation. That's what makes it a differential equation. Here it's a second order because you have to take the derivative twice to end up with that. Okay, let's do one more step here. Let's bring the I over. So we have minus k theta t over I is going to be equal to this. Okay, now the equation for theta, we can use the equation for theta. It's got cosine in here, and so let's sub that in. We would be able to derive it here. Let me show you what that would look like. Okay, and I ran out of room, but I would add up that cosine omega t on the right over here. So that's essentially what we would have. It's useful because, remember, the second order derivative of theta here, of angular displacement effectively, is going to be cosine as well, which is really helpful. Because if you start to think about what we can get rid of, notice we've got a negative sign here, we've got a cosine omega t, we've also got a cosine omega t over here. Also got this theta max and this theta max as well, and we'll get rid of that negative as well. So I'm just showing you some of the things that we can get rid of. So what do we end up with? Well, we end up with k over I is equal to omega squared, or we can take the root of both sides and say this is k over I is equal to omega. We're getting closer to being able to solve for the period by doing some very useful things with our equations. Okay. Now let's go back to take a look at that equation over here. If we're trying to get to the period, remember we can write period is equal to 2 pi over omega. This is a generalized equation that can help us solve many, many things. And so we can then take that and say t is equal to 2 pi. And this 1 over omega business, what we could do is we could still use this and just flip what we have, right? So you'd end up with I over k underneath a root, and that would be subbing in for 1 over omega, so to speak. So that's how you would go about doing this. This is going to be the period for a torsional pendulum, and that's how you go about proving it and showing where your work comes from. So you may notice a pattern. We've been doing some of the same strategies the last couple lessons, so hopefully this has been helpful. Next, I do want to put a link in the upper right for a FRQ recent, I think it was 2022 or 2023, that had students work with a torsional pendulum on a test. And so you can see it in action and see how to approach this kind of thing. So I do want to say I've gone over all of the major concepts for high school physics, like an honors physics class, as well as almost all the concepts for AP Physics E Mechanics. So if you have any questions or comments down below, please let me know. And I hope you all have a great day. Take care.